Hello and welcome to the Super Ultra Mega Force podcast. I'm Wyatt Summers.
I'm Bill.
Yep, and today this is our second podcast. Are you excited, Bill?
I am ecstatic.
Should be like Bruce Willis and be like thrilled, but we need to have that cool echo voice to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, what have you been playing today?
I'm playing a lot of Dying Light.
Yeah, I have been too. Just started it though. How are you liking it?
I like it. It's I guess it's on par with what I was expecting, or what I wanted it to be, I guess.
Do you feel like it's kind of a better improvement from what Techland did with the last two Dead Islands?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big step up.
I mean, I think what makes it, from what I've been playing with it, I definitely feel that there's like a really improved quality to it. The parkour system on it is really nice. I almost, for a few minutes, I don't know how many of our audience really, feels this way, but there are some games that make me kind of have that kind of motion sickness, and unfortunately Half-Life is one of those, so I never really get to play that for too long, and I was worried that the quick pace of the camera movements were with with Dying Light was gonna be the same thing, but after a few seconds with it, and once I got used to it, it was a lot better. I mean, the visuals are really good with it. So much kind of cool, kind of grotesque stuff for it.
It's got a lot of nice graphical effects with the ash that fills the air and all that stuff, and the way that your flashlight reflects off of it.
That night mode stuff. I don't have as much experience with it as you do, but man, that one time I've played it so far where it went night and then just everything was kind of following me was pretty scary,
It's the meat of the game.
Yeah.
Because there's no leveling system like there is with Dead Island. So in Dead Island, if you could be, like super badass level, 40 or 50, whatever the cap was for that, and it's still, you either take out zombies easily if you had super good weapons, or they took a million hits with other weapons. And in Dying Light, there is no leveling system, so every zombie you fight is gonna be the same health for them throughout the entire game. So no matter so you'll start to feel super badass, during the day, and then night hits and you're suddenly nothing. So it's a good way to balance that difficulty.
Yeah. There are so many. They've changed a lot of the things to the game to make it kind of feel very almost Walking Dead, wouldn't you say? Because they rely on a lot. They rely on melee weapons so much more in this game. Headshots are like the immediate instant kill kind of thing. Zombies, of course, are very slow, and you can run around them really easily. But of course, that's when it comes to the ones that kind of do the running and stuff like that at nighttime is when it's really, the problem.
At night, their cone of vision, like as far as like just normal zombies, they are a lot more aggressive because they'll actually follow you from farther distances, or it'll, instead of the ones that during the day can see you from like 100 feet away and kind of just ignore you, and the ones at night will actually follow you. And actually shooting a gun will attract the faster ones during the day. So you can fire a gun and it'll just attract all the super fast ones to like hone in on your location. So it even discourages you from using weapons like that.
Do you think that like they got that idea maybe from like Minecraft? Because I feel like Minecraft's the one kind of game that really did have that kind of day-night cycle where like nighttime was really that you need to be like hidden or you're gonna get screwed.
I could see it being like a inspiration thing, like something like in the back of their minds, like as they're making Dying Light, like let's have a day-night cycle and let night be harder. I mean, I could easily see that kind of idea being implanted from playing like a game like Minecraft, because those first couple, like, nothing is ever going to beat Minecraft the first couple times you play it, like at night when you have no idea how the game works, and once it's gone, but it's pretty similar, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Man, another good thing I really like about it is the story. The story so far, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the best, but I say it's an improvement from what Dead Island had.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people appreciate that the game doesn't have your stereotypical trope characters like you did with Dead Island, where you had the rapper, the ex sports star, and all those characters. But instead, you do have your secret agent.
Yeah. I mean, like, to be honest, like, the characters in Dead Island would have been fine, but it was just like the most asinine shit that they would say. Like, I remember there's one line in Dead Island where I literally, like, I was playing in a party with people, and I literally put my controller down, rolled my eyes, and I was like, are you gotta be fucking kidding me that this guy just said this in an actual story cutscene? And it's Sam B. I love Philomar to death.
Was that Philomar?
It's Philomar, yeah. That's a very seasoned voice actor doing this award-winning role, but it's a part later, way later in the game. Spoilers if you're not playing Dead Island, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter in the game. Story's balls, but it's whenever you meet the natives, that's kind of a topic on its own. But you're like in an arena, everybody's together. And she's like I can't remember her name, but she's basically the carrier. Like, she's like she's infected, but she's not. Like, she's like, what's her name from 20? They're basically like everybody from Left 4 Dead. They're like carriers, but they don't they don't show symptoms and shit. But Sam B looks at her and just says, "Hey, shawty, you been eating mummies?" And I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is the pinnacle of game. This is the pinnacle of game writing here.
This is the end. This is the apocalypse of gaming.
I really did want to just stop playing the game after that. I was like, I can't stand this.
Wait, so you're saying that Hoodoo You Voodoo did not push you to that limit already?
It was a sign of things to come. Let's just put it that way.
The problem with that song's just kind of catchy. It's terrible.
Brian, a friend of ours, he hates that fucking song.
Really?
So I love bringing it up to just torture him.
You should change your ringtone to it.
I really should. God, that would be incredible. But so far, the story for Dying Light is, like you said, it's not the best. I mean, there's a lot of places it could be better, but so far it's very serviceable.
Honestly, playing it, I kind of feel like the storyline's turning into like Fast and the Furious meets meets like it's like a zombie version of the Fast and Furious thing, where it's like you're Paul Walker and you're infiltrating this gang, to find the culprit, and you're like, oh, it's got to be this alternate gang. They're the ones doing it. And then and then I don't know. I mean, I don't know at all at this point in the game, but I feel like it's going to be like, surprise, it's your people all along. They're the bad guys. Now you have to raid a, 16-wheeler and save your friend.
I think you cracked the case.
And then Jesse gets shot in the end for no reason.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah, he had the worst car out of all of them, so it doesn't matter. God,
we love our Fast and Furious.
The thing about this story, like that you kind of like what you were kind of going back and forth between, kind of like gangs, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. But the story itself was good. The missions are fine. The side quests are pretty cool. Like, I kind of wish it had more quests. Like, and this is surprising. Like in Dead Island, there were a lot of quests where you had to go and get supplies for people.
Yeah,
and I remember like one of the best quests about in the first part of the Dead Island game was where you actually had to like get a truck, go to a gas station, just get fucking packs of food or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, this is something we'd probably really be doing right now. And I remember like it was the first time you really like you're filling up the gas and it's making a lot of noise and the infected come and your friends are holding them all. It was cool. You don't get a lot of quests like that in Dying Light, but I mean the side quests all make sense. It's not people saying, hey, yo dog, I know there's zombies rolling around, but can you like bring me bottles of champagne?
Hey dog, I know. But Beyonce had the best zombie album.
Cool.
Just
awesome. All right. Great.
The one thing I did find out, which is really cool about the game, I like the airdrop system, where just randomly, like, oh, here's an airdrop has landed, and now you gotta go catch it before the other bandits do. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty cool. It feels kind of like the public event system in Destiny, except you're by yourself when you're doing it. But most of the time in Destiny, when public events happen, you're pretty much doing them by yourself anyway. So, but I'm definitely not leveled up enough to take those on because I just get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to kind of one of my dislikes of the game is that when you die, you lose XP. I guess do you think that's kind of the Dark Souls kind of aspect they're trying to sum into that?
It certainly sucks when you die. Once you see how much you can make, like as far as like offsetting, because normally when you die, if you have a lot of points, like I think the most I've ever lost was like 4,000 points.
Oh wow!
But whenever you looking at how much you make just from saving people, doing quests, or even just turning in drops, you can easily make it back if you're careful. But then again, I've been playing in multiplayer where like even if I fuck up and fall off a building accidentally, there's somebody there to pick me up, or I don't lose it, you know. So that's probably where my maybe a little bit biased because I haven't really played the game too much single player.
Yeah, that's one of the few things. This game kind of does fall in that category where, with Borderlands and Destiny and a few other games, where you really get the most fun out of the game when you're playing it with multiplayer. But what else would you kind of critique about the game?
I would have liked melee wise, like there's a lot of weapons, there's a lot of variety in that. I would have liked there's only like 2 types of machine guns, like 2 types of pistols, and only 1 shotgun, which is fine. I'm not looking for a shooter type of game. I just would have liked a little bit more variety that way. But it's really not a gun centric game, which is fine.
Yeah.
There are really cool little things that they added. One of them being like if you have you found any drops where there's like been the bad guys like already at the airdrop?
Every drop I've went to right now, they're always at them.
If you have a gun and you point it at them, they'll actually put their hands up and back off
really?
For the airdrop. Yeah, because they don't have, a lot of them don't have guns, so they'll actually be intimidated by you if you actually have one, which was interesting. I was like, that's pretty cool. That reminded me of I Am Alive. Did you ever play that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool game.
I do remember the trailer for it. I think that's the one where it's the one guy. I mean, I know it's the post-apocalyptic game, but they're searching for water, and then he's got 3 guys like surrounding him, and they're like, "Hey, just give us the water, or whatever." And then he falls and everything. So
yeah, that was the unveiled trailer where the game that came out was a lot different. That was back when they wanted to make it an actual like AAA game, I think, and they actually scaled it down. It's a cool game. It's hard, but it was a cool game.
That I wouldn't mind that being like a PSN, PS Plus game.
I would imagine it might have been at one point.
Probably.
I picked it up on sale 2013 Christmas for like $2 on Xbox thing. That's why I played it. But it had a similar thing. Like your bullets were extremely scarce, and that was your main way of getting out of conflict. You point your gun and people would put their hands up. But if you did it for too long or whatever, they would start to think that you were bluffing. Because if you tried fighting like 2 guys at once, you were just done. You can't fight 2 people at once. So
hold-up systems are always pretty awesome in games. Off topic thing, but I think Metal Gear Solid is the one that did it the best.
The hold-up, yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the first games I remember it being in, Metal Gear Solid 2.
Just those moments where they're like, freeze! Huh? Don't kill me.
Yeah, and they do their shake and drop their dog tags or ammo or whatever.
Where do they get taught that, where it's like, hey, when a guy sticks your gun at him, you shake your ass. And then
you never know, man.
Yep.
You never know. It could be his trigger.
That must be what it is. Yeah. Dude, that's another game we got to play is another round of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, it'd be
playing
cool.
those again.
I'd like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have the collection, so.
Kojima's still trying to get people to remake Metal Gear Solid.
I saw that, yeah. I'd be down as long as it wasn't like, what somebody said about I know we're going on a tangent, but whatever. That somebody said about Twin Snakes.
What?
That Twin Snakes, like the reason all that crazy shit happens in it is because Otacon telling the story to somebody and how he probably perceived the events happening. Like, oh, Solid Snake was so fucking cool. He did this and did that. And I was like, that kind of makes me like it a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's like if it's him doing it that way, because I never liked all the embellishments they did.
Yeah, I
mean it's cool, but.
You gotta be careful with that water bottle. I can hear that really easily. Speaking of that, we got new mics, so they're a lot more sensitive than we're used to from the last time.
Yeah, I'm sure it picks up a lot of unsavory things.
Yeah. So, what'd you think of the new Adams costume that Brandon Routh now wears?
It looks interesting. I like I guess you call it exoskeleton type of look to it. It looks interesting.
Yeah. I think they're what they're trying to do is they're preparing to do another spin-off with the Atom, and I hope that's successful because Atom's a lot less known character than the Flash and Arrow is, but he's definitely one that could I think could make it. Brandon Routh's an awesome actor, and I was thinking about this when I first saw the costume. I was like, I would have been cool if Brandon Routh, even though they didn't do even though Henry Cavill has now stolen the spotlight as Superman, I wouldn't mind him doing like the TV version of being the TV Superman. I thought that would be pretty cool. Yeah,
I always felt bad they never got to do another one.
I know I think he was pretty cool, and
he was good. He just needed. I feel like they didn't. I really need to rewatch the movie because I'm really just going off by memory, so it's not really a fair assessment.
Yeah, well, to me, it's like all I can kind of remember of the movie is, he gets stabbed, and then with kryptonite, and then he goes, screw this, I'm gonna lift this whole island up and throw it in the sun.
Yeah.
Oh, and Cyclops stole his girlfriend.
Yeah, the one that he left on Earth pregnant.
Yeah.
Good guy, Superman. You're pregnant? See ya.
Later. Hey, have you heard about the new superpower that Superman has?
No.
So what he has now is when he has his heat vision. He's fighting a villain recently, and he was using his heat vision, and his heat vision was only like charging up the villain, so he used it more. He kind of exceeded his power limits, and then suddenly his abilities went supernova, and so he pretty much became an atom bomb, like a solar bomb, and exploded, like taking like a mile or two radius away. And when that happened, he passed out and then woke up, and then Batman was kind of examining him at the Batcave and pretty much told him, oh, by the way, sorry guys, this is spoilers. I don't know how many people in our audience listen to comics right now, but I figure maybe this might entice them. But we're kind of anyway. He discovers that that when he overuses his powers, he can go supernova, and from that point on, for about 24 hours, he needs to recollect solar energy. Otherwise, he's pretty much human for 24 hours after that ability. So, people are saying it's kind of their way of making him more mortal. To be kind of that way, and also probably the possibility that he can hook up with like Lois Lane now, I guess, because up until this point in the new 52 continuity, it's him and Wonder Woman who've been together this whole time. So. Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also he revealed himself to Jimmy Olsen. So.
Oh, nice.
And reveal himself by like, hey, I'm Superman, not like hey, here's my junk. That would be very inappropriate for him. So.
I guess some people just need that kind of conflict for Superman.
Yeah. It's also cool for him to have that. The one thing I always hated about, like, if you notice, they've gotten rid of this a lot with the current superheroes. But superheroes' identities are not as big of a thing as they used to be. They used to like beat you over the head with it all the time. Where like, if you go with Smallville and other shows and things, they will never reveal like the superhero won't reveal themselves to anyone for ever, and it's just like they're like, I'm so alone in this world because no one knows that I do all these fantastic things and save all these people, and I have to bear this by myself. Meanwhile, majority of the time, I can't explain where I am, and then all my best friends either leave me because they hate me because I leave them, or my girlfriend goes and dates the jerk villain because I can't tell her that I'm a superhero that saved her and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad they got rid of that. Like, Iron Man very first movie, he just tells everyone, "Hey, I'm Iron Man." Thor, he doesn't care. He's a god. He's like, whatever.
They don't really deal with his alter ego.
Yeah, Captain America, he's he's in the history books,
He's a
so
war
everyone
hero.
knows that. And what other one was recent that they were just Flash is like that too. You know, most people know stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think of the Super Bowl trailers?
They're pretty cool.
Yeah,
I did like the Jurassic World trailer a lot.
yeah. I cannot wait for that movie. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Apparently the scene with Chris Pratt and he's like in the basically doing that thing with the raptors and stuff.
Yeah.
Not the motorcycle part, but the other part.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that was part of some leaked footage.
Oh,
That were like you could see like why he's doing that.
mm-hmm.
And from what I read, it was like they were basically like circling somebody in the pen, and he jumped in to calm them down.
That's cool.
Because that's what he's supposed to be. He's their handler. Like he's the gamekeeper for the Velociraptors.
What do you kind of think about this kind of idea where like he's kind of he's kind of taming dinosaurs and probably going to use them to help him fight the big nasty dinosaur, for the movie.
And I know some people like have gotten up in arms about it, but like, I mean, we do that. I mean, obviously it's different, but we do that now with like tigers and lions, and of course they'll probably kill you whenever they get a chance. But I mean, they still see it's still like a relationship that's built from birth, Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I like it's different than what they've done the last 2 sequels. So
yeah, I kind of think it's cool. Even especially with kids. You gotta have like a dinosaur. Like, I mean, kids always have that like, oh, won't it be great to have a dinosaur versus dinosaur moment,
Mm-hmm.
and have dinosaurs to root for. I mean, you had that kind of in Jurassic Park, the first movie, where the T-Rex fights the raptors.
And one thing that's really interesting is they released a concept art, and they've pretty much said that the Tyrannosaur that you're going to see in Jurassic World is the same one from the first movie. It's even got the scars on its neck from the Velociraptors jumping on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, because they released like an art of it, and you saw like this big gnarly like 2 or 3 scars going down the back of its neck where the raptors jumped on it at the end of the first one. But they've already said that that's the same one.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking cool.
I don't know if I've ever gotten on this tangent, but one thing that always makes me kind of, I mean, I think it's okay. I'm not going to have a big rant about it, but I feel that a lot of times sequels, especially nowadays, rely too much on the one movie that made them successful. Mm-hmm. Like Jurassic Park will kind of do, where they're like, let's go back to the park, let's have it be be Jurassic Park 1, just newer, I feel like what made certain movies like Terminator 2 and Aliens be kind of those shining examples of, let's change up everything about the series. Mm-hmm. Let's make it almost a different genre, than the previous one, and that's what's really cool about those movies. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know if corporate America is really going to ever let that happen again, but who knows?
Speaking of that, I know how I'm sure that's how you. I know you have similar feelings about Star Wars coming up. Did you read the latest rumor mill stuff about Luke?
No.
I don't know if this is even true or not, but some people have been saying it is just because of where Mark Hamill's been shooting. But apparently, his role, from what it said, like because he's supposed to be like not huge in it, or he's been in like exile or something, like self-imposed.
Like he's going to be in Dagobah?
No.
Oh, man.
But apparently he's guarding some like Sith tomb that Kylo Ren wants to get to, and like basically just involves him, like he's been guarding this tomb like for however so long because he knows what's in it, and he knows what, I guess, something, the big bad's there or something like that, and something to do with his lightsaber or something. But that's why he's all like scrubbly beard, and so I don't know if they're gonna have what that's all about, but that's what they were talking about recently.
I've heard that it's kind of something to do with his lightsaber that was lost in episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. I don't know how much that'll be. What, one thing that I'm really kind of hoping will be, the way they've portrayed these movies, like where the plot's going to be. I'm kind of like, they've made it sound like the movies, like nothing really happened between 4, 5, and 6 to these new movies. Like it's like 20, 30 years have happened, but nothing really has gone on. And that's the one thing that worries me about it, because the one thing I did like about the expanded universe from the comic books and the movies is that these characters had like a lot going on in their lives, like for the last 30 years, where they've had children and they've been happy and they've been successful in rebuilding the universe, and that's kind of what I'm hoping at least they'll get to show you in some way, is that it's like nothing, they had happy lives. It's like their lives didn't go from we won this war, now let's have 30 years of misery
and have another one.
Point. Yeah, because I mean, like Obi-Wan was forced to sit on a desert for the rest of his life, kind of being like, oh man, this is I've been saving people and waging wars and stuff like that, and like battling and everything, and yet now I get to spend like 20 years just chilling out and watching this kid.
Sure love all this sand.
This sand's all that fun, yeah, man. Bummer.
I know they do plan on having like some flashback sequences. I don't know about which, but I know that they got Carrie Fisher's daughter to play her in like whatever they were doing in flashbacks. I remember they said there was I don't know if it was a scene thing or a concept art, but it was like Leia in front of a bunch of huts. Like not like captive, but like talking to them like diplomatically type shit.
I kind of wonder, what was it? I kind of wonder just if they're going to... It seems weird for them to have flashbacks in a Star Wars movie, because I don't even think any Star Wars things ever really used a flashback system, It's most of those movies have never done that.
I'm trying to think. I don't think... I can't think of them ever doing something like that, no. Like in the movies. Yeah. I could be mistaken. I haven't seen the prequels in a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the original trilogy in a while either.
Yeah. They usually get around it a lot pretty easily by, telling backstory through, like, them going through different holocrons and different, story aspects that they just kind of mention, in the context of it.
Did you read about I guess they've already kind of detailed like what one of the spin-offs is going to be, but they cast like Felicity Jones. And
I did hear that she got cast, but what
she's supposed to play one of the characters from Star Wars Rebels.
Oh.
Sabine or something like that.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently she's going to get her own spin-off. And they were talking about how apparently Aaron Paul is in one of the talks to play young Han Solo.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That would be very interesting.
Imagine how excited he would be if he got something like that. Like he went like, I went from being that weird ass guy on Price is Right to being fucking Han Solo.
Man, that Price is Right moment was pretty awesome.
Sabine
is a pretty cool character. I don't know if you know too much about her right now, but she's
not too much.
I mean, I haven't watched any of the show yet, but she's a female Mandalorian, or at least she wears the Mandalorian armor. Cool. And she's very, very stylized, to where she, does graffiti, to kind of, push the rebels to, fight harder and stuff like that. She has her little symbols, and I think, and that was really cool. I think that's, it's always good. It's always pretty cool to have this, strong female and protagonist that I think people will, like a lot. I think that's pretty cool, especially because you don't really see too many Mandalores like that,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, hey, this is Boba Fett, but she's female, and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I've already seen cosplay of her, like in our area and conventions and stuff. So I can imagine that we'll just see plenty more of that.
I've heard the show's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I would like to check it out. I just don't have Disney XD at all.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a hurdle.
So, what about the Terminator trailer?
I'm going to see it.
I mean, yeah, we'll definitely see it. It's going to be a pretty cool
I got my feelings. I still don't like that guy, that Jack Courtney guy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm too hung up on Anton Yelchin from Terminator Salvation.
I think, I don't know, I wonder if... Do you think Twilight's kind of like burned his... He was in Twilight, right?
I have no idea. I don't think he was. Well, he may have been in like one of the sequels. I know he was in He was in the last Die Hard movie
Mm-hmm.
with Bruce Willis sleepwalking through it.
Oh yeah.
He
I haven't even watched that yet.
Yeah, you don't really need to. This is, God, what else was he in? He was in another movie too.
I think Hercules, was it?
Oh shit.
The other Hercules, the one. It's so weird that they put two Hercules out in the same year.
Yeah,
It's like,
he might have been like he. I feel like he follows like such a. I mean, I hate saying this because he could be a really nice guy, and I could be just be shitting on him. But
yeah. I mean, it's kind of that double-edged sword.
yeah, he just doesn't look like, I don't know, like Michael Biehn and what he did in the first Terminator movie, and like I could watch Terminator Salvation and go, that guy's gonna be Kyle Reese. That's gonna be Michael Biehn in a couple years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they want to do something new with it. And I'm usually more open to stuff. I'm just clinging on what people usually cling on. Like, it's gonna ruin the fucking first movie and the second movie, cause it's stupid. It'll come out, and if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. It's not gonna ruin the first two movies. They're still there.
Yeah. I always, when it comes to actors that you don't really feel that not really too sure about, I always feel like just kind of watch it first and then kind of take it, especially ever since, I think Heath Ledger's kind of broken me and a lot of people into it, where any casting roles that we question, it's just like, just chill,
He kind of is the go-to for that.
From now on, it's like, just chill, wait till it comes out, and then we'll see.
Yeah. It's... People want to see future war shit, but apparently that's never going to happen. And so...
You kind of see him in the prologues, I guess.
It's always in the prologues, though. Terminator 2, first Terminator, you always see future war shit at some point in the movie.
I'm still the one person that thinks that Salvation's a decent movie, I guess.
This thing about Salvation, like, the first half of that movie is actually... It's cool. Like, you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then, like, at a certain point, it just kind of goes off the rails. Like, I felt like they... It's like watching a movie, and at some point you can see where someone else wanted to take over or like write a different movie, and it shows.
Yeah. Do you remember the original ending that they kind of talked about doing?
Yeah. And it's funny now because when that was revealed, people threw a fucking shit fit. And now if you go on Reddit, anytime anybody mentions that ending, they're like, "Oh man, that was cool. Why didn't they do that?"
Do you want to explain what the ending was?
Yeah, it was at the end of... Okay. Spoiler alert for Terminator Salvation. But at the end of the movie, John Connor is impaled by a Terminator. And then the other guy, Marcus, who's like a Terminator, but he's also like, he's still, I guess, is human. He's a human Terminator. It's exactly what it sounds like. And then at the end, John Connor's dying, and he needs a new heart. And Marcus actually has a human heart, so they do a heart transplant so John Connor can live. In the original ending, John Connor died, but they knew, or they wanted to keep the whole resistance thing alive, so they would graft his face onto Marcus's face. So unknowingly, they would be following a machine against machines. So there's your irony for the day.
Yeah. I think that would have been a neat idea, but I think that it's such a kind of right hard turn from what they were doing in that movie that it would just be a very out there and shocking ending that I don't know if people can just immediately kind of grasp hold of.
Digest.
Yeah.
The problem with that movie is that they couldn't settle on. It's like watching a movie that it's like watching something that they can't settle on a main character.
Yeah.
They want it to be this Marcus guy, who we already know is Terminator because the trailer said it. And then, or John Connor. Do you want him to be the main character? Well, now let's go back to this guy. Yeah. It's like they, from what I read, like Marcus was supposed to be the main character of the whole movie, and then they got like Christian Bale to be John Connor, and they were like, oh, well, I guess we got to kind of write it or make this role bigger now, which was kind of like,
it's like, hey, we got the Avatar guy. He's got to be a great main character. Oh, we got Christian Bale. Well, forget this guy then.
And John Connor was just like completely humorless. Like, there was, like, one, like, scene. Like, they did one really cool thing where, like, in that movie, like, when he distracts those motorcycle Terminators, and he uses that song from, what is it? It's You Will Be Mine, from Guns N' Roses song. This is the same song that plays on his boombox, like, in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
I would have liked if he had at least an inkling of, like, oh, yeah. Like, just it's not like to wink to the audience, but just like a smirk, like oh, I used to like this shit, you know, like
Yeah.
I mean, I like Christian Bale, but like they wrote him so like just I don't know, he's not. I mean, they didn't really do much with him, and they could have done a lot with it, I think.
I wonder if in that Terminator universe, if they get kind of tired of like the same songs over and over, 'cause they have no more new music.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, man, this is a bummer, and we can't play it off of our MP3 players because you know, Skynet will probably grab it and track them down.
So sad, so sad.
So what about the Avengers 2 or the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer?
Man, I want to see it. It looks really good.
It does. Kind of going on the toy hinge. I'm so excited because they announced they're doing all the Funko Pop figures where they have all the cast as them, and they're pretty cool. And supposedly there is a Gray Hulk on there, and it was actually it was a Hot Topic exclusive, and then they immediately took it down. And I think that's kind of like a thing of them saying that they're worried because that might have ruined part of the movie, because I guess maybe it's going to give fans what they wanted and getting to see the Gray Hulk, which would be an interesting thing. From what I know about the Gray Hulk, he's super intelligent from what I know. So that would be a cool thing to get to see an intelligent Hulk. But I feel like we've kind of seen a relatively intelligent Hulk from what in that last movie. He at least kind of was more controlled. I think so.
Whenever he's in control of it.
Yeah.
Of the transformation.
Yep. So, February is now here, and we're going to be checking out those new games. What do you think of the Evolve game so far?
I really like the studio because they were behind Left 4 Dead. I really like Left 4 Dead.
Turtle Rock is pretty awesome,
To be fair, though, I mean, a lot of what I love about Left 4 Dead is the writing, and that's mainly Valve doing that part of it.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah, it was like Chet, like their main guys who do like the stuff behind like Portal and stuff like that. It's like I can't remember. It's like Chet Falla. I know I'm butchering that last name.
Yeah.
And I think his name's Scott. There's like 2 or 3 guys that are it's like 2 guys and a woman, I think, who do most of their writing. I think it's 2 guys, but I'm getting off topic. But the idea sounds cool. I mean, 1 monster, 4 people. And I've seen a lot of gameplay on it. I just don't know if it's going to be enough for me to pick up yet. But I mean, it's a cool idea.
Kind of feel like Left 4 Dead was kind of the same way, where it was like it was cool, but you only had like 4 maps.
4 maps, yeah.
So you would have your fun for it, but then unless you really had people that would want to do it all the time with you, you really didn't.
Yeah, you're kind of boned.
Yeah, you had a very small experience, but I do like the idea that they give you a lot of new characters. Like you get 3 sets of 4 hunters, and then you get 3 different monsters, and that's just on the disc. And then there's that whole DLC controversy, which you know about. It's so they said that they were going to give free DLC for maps.
Because they didn't want to separate the player base.
Yeah, but then they decided that they were going to release the monster as a pre-order bonus, and also, but you could pay for it afterwards, and it would be like $15.
$15, yeah.
And people think that's really high. Like, what do you think about it being that much?
There's a lot of different things with DLC, and in general, there's a lot of things that people need to go in with the knowledge of that a lot of people don't. Because normally when people see the word DLC, like all the red flags immediately jump up in their head. I'm not saying that this is a good example. I'm just saying there are a lot of things that could have made that made that thing worse. Like when people go in and they hear, day 1 DLC, you buy it later. The first thing is why is it not on the game already? And 2, like why would I do this in the first place? Mm-hmm. Well, they did release a statement about it saying that, well, for one thing, it's not, even the people who pre-order aren't going to get it day 1. It's still going to be when that actually does come out, because we're working on it right now. And with most DLC, I'd like to think most DLC, because not everything's going to be ready, you know. And I'm sure there are some companies that would cherry pick certain things, you know, to release later, which, I mean, it sucks. But in the case for Evolve, I'm happy it's not maps they're doing it with, because that could easily
definitely
separate the player base, which fucking sucks.
I wouldn't really buy maps if they were offering them. I mean,
honestly, the thing with the monster, 15 does sound probably a little high just for one monster. I did hear that they've been selling like other, I don't know if it's like the hunters as well, right? I did hear that the people say that, I don't know if they were overpowered, or like they kind of like clearly were better than the original hunters. That'd be something that they should definitely look out for.
Yeah,
because I mean, there's ways they could do it. They could have said, to avoid all this, they could have just not mentioned anything and just said, they could have released statements saying, hey, if you pre-order, you get this monster. If you don't, then it'll be, I mean, either way, it's coming out later. If you, and you know, you show support for the game, you get this shit for free. You know, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
But the whole player thing, like, is if the people you pay for are better than the people who are there in the first place, that kind of sucks. The fact that you have to pay more than what you already have to kind of be up to snuff with everybody else.
Yeah,
that shit ain't cool.
You know, I feel like DLC has improved over the years compared to what we used to have, because like there are still games that do it, and the games that always bothered me when they would do it was they would really feel like the game like took a chunk out of it and then made you pay for the DLC for it. A perfect example of it to me was the Prince of Persia remake, or I forget what it was called, but I think it was just called Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia, yeah.
Yeah, and they took the entire ending out and then just said you have to pay for it. But I feel like nowadays, as long as it feels like a separate kind of a separate thing from what the main game is, I feel like that's more okay. Like, yeah. I mean, obviously they're going to be making these things anyway. At least make them feel like they're not. They feel like they're an afterthought. You know, if they feel like there's something that was like we put it in the game, like the Prothean, but decided to take it out. You know, that's really agitating. I would say,
because DLC from the beginning should have been how like PC expansions were. You got a game, you liked it, and they came out with a whole slew of other shit. Like, so far, like the best example of DLC I can give is when Grand Theft Auto 4 came out, and then Rockstar released their 2 expansions for it. Were $20, which at the time was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But it ended up being like new weapons, new songs, a whole new story, a whole new character.
Yeah. I mean, those are practically
games.
Games. They were pretty much a Vice City and a San Andreas of those.
Pretty much.
Summits, yeah.
I think you can really, if you really want to like go back and kind of go like see where the beginning of a lot of that stigma came from, I think you can point the finger at Capcom. I mean, not solely, but they certainly didn't help with with on disc DLC and kind of Assure's Wrath. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of shit they pulled that really kind of just drugged that DLC name through through the mud.
Yeah.
Activision does it too. They kind of gouge for some of that shit.
Exactly. Man, those. Can you remember which game that was that really did that first? Was it Asher's Wrath, or was it
just like
the on-disc DLC stuff?
There was some stuff before it, and I remember the rationale behind it was that they put some of the assets on the disc, but it wasn't finished. Mm-hmm. And this was a way of, because at the time, I think this had to have been in like 2009 or so, like 2010, where they were like, so that way your download just wouldn't be as big.
Yeah.
But like some of the stuff, like I remember when for Street Fighter Cross Tekken, for certain characters and costumes, like it wasn't even like, it was like hardly a kilobyte download because it was already there. That's kind of shitty. So
what about Majora's Mask? You think you'll be picking that up again?
I'd like to. I'd like to actually go through and experience it finally.
I feel pretty guilty because I bought the game on Wii and was like, I'm going to start playing this because I never got around. The problem with the 64 version was that you had to buy the expansion pack, and you know, when you're a child, you can't afford any of that stuff, so you can't really get it. And I didn't even really understand the idea of why there was this expansion pack thing anyway. Yeah. But I've been excited. I would like to try it out again to get to see it.
It certainly is a lot darker than your normal Zelda game.
Yeah. I really just want to see what that fierce deity mask is. 'Cause, you know, that seemed like the coolest thing to me, was that idea where you get this mask that turns you into a sort of adult Link.
Basically a god to kill something that's akin to that, I guess.
Someone had there are a bunch of really cool like theory channels. I don't know if you've seen them, Bill, but I'll have to post them in like a link in the description. But there are theories about Majora's Mask, about how it was the mask took the aspects of the person that first wore it, who was a child, and the child, you know, was being neglected by people that didn't want to play with him, and so the entire story could actually be an allusion to Link, and it's really just Majora playing with him this entire time, and all this stuff is really just conjured up in his world, which would be really cool. I like that.
There's a lot of themes throughout Majora's Mask that kind of permeate, that people talk about, like the stages of death and just the atmosphere of just really shitty things. But it's where, like, you know, they talk about the Zelda timelines, because in Twilight Princess, the knight or the Stophlos or whatever that teaches you how to do certain things, that's supposed to be Link from Majora's Mask.
Yeah, people always say that, and there's this huge debate on whether he died in the Lost Woods because he was lost in there by the end of Majora's Mask, or some people say that he might have just, like, at the end of his time, he wandered to the Lost Woods at the end, and then just ended up that being his, like, you know, ended up being his deathbed kind of thing.
Yeah, it's cool, but I mean, it's certainly a heavier game a heavier Zelda game than usual. Because normally, like, playing Ocarina of Time, it's almost kind of, in some ways, like almost like joyful. Like, hey, you're the hero, go and do this, which is cool. I love Ocarina of Time, but Majora's Mask certainly went the other way with that.
I mean, this is the end of the world you're talking about. Like, the moon's gonna crash down on, you know, in 3 days, so...
Yeah, it's a cool game. It's certainly... I always thought Majora was more interesting than Ganon, because they always use Ganon every single time.
And, of course, because it's me, I have to find a way to include wrestling in this. And did you know that there was a wrestling commercial for Majora's Mask?
No, I did not know that.
There is this moment. It's the Hardy Boys, and they're wrestling in the ring during this commercial, and then suddenly the shadow goes over the arena, and then the Titantron, I think, is playing, like, The Legend of Zelda, like, playing Majora's Mask, and he goes, he's only got 3 days to do this before the end of the world, and then he goes,
God.
So yeah, I'll have to find that and show you.
That'd be pretty cool.
And of course, John Wick came out this week, which I know you and I both really love that movie.
It's so good. It's what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, what do you think about it?
It's really nice, like, because I'm really picky. Like, whenever I watch action movies, there's a lot of things that I look out for or watch, and it's not just like story or what's happening on screen, like action wise. Like, I really like really good, like, choreographed stuff. Like in action movies, like Hard Boiled's my go-to, like, when it comes to, like, what I like to see in movies, like action movies in general. So, like, watching John Wick and watching, like, the choreography and, like, how just how I really don't like I like being able to cleanly see what's happening on camera. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a fan of that shaky shit that
Bourne does it the worst, I would say.
It's just like, to me, it's just an excuse. Like you couldn't, like, hey, you want us to feel like we're part of it. It doesn't make me feel like that. It makes me feel like that you couldn't take the time to choreograph this and like get your actor to follow certain things. You know, it's like, oh, just fucking shake the camera and say they were fighting, and let's get this shit on with. You know,
it hurts my eyes just seeing that. I'm just imagining them fighting in a very kind of straight, you know, like very well choreographed thing, and then they're just like the cameraman's just shaking the camera just like a crazy person.
There's a lot of cool stuff they do. I remember probably the one that stands out the most is how well do you remember like the nightclub scene?
I remember it quite a bit.
Remember, it's whenever he's chasing the guy through like the main dance floor.
Yeah.
Whenever he comes up, like he stands up and that thing's behind him, like that kind of like that techno-ish shit like that's going on like on the screen or whatever behind him. Mm-hmm. If you notice that when the camera's on him, it's very still. And when it cuts to the guy he's chasing, it's kind of frantic to kind of like mirror how each one's kind of feeling. Like he cuts to John, still like kind of just a calm, collected. Cuts to the other guy, it's kind of like shaking, moving back and forth. Just really subtle camera shit like that. I really like.
Yeah, I'm just glad that they took so much time and effort to make this movie something we'd really love. Like, I mean, it is satirical in some way, or tongue-in-cheek, I guess, you know, where it pokes fun.
Yeah, tongue-in-cheek definitely with the story.
With, I mean, just the idea that he's taking these guys down because, like, they killed his dog. I mean, well, yeah. I think, you know, in all fairness, if someone killed my dog, I would be, you know, probably a little crazy too. So, I mean, it's understandable.
Well, the thing is, like, it plays with that thing that people are naturally most people will naturally feel more for an animal than a person. Just like, and they say, and I when I say that, I don't mean to say that you people are always going to feel that way. But like, take this for instance. Imagine if instead of John Wick, it was his wife who was murdered. Right?
Yeah.
They can only have 10 to 15 minutes to kind of set her up so we feel bad that she dies. And most of the time, most movies don't do that. Most movies, it's going to be like, we already know what's going to happen. And I hate to say it, but we're like, let's just get this fucking plot going. You're not going to care at all.
Right.
But when it's an animal, you already feel that connection that, like, oh, don't fucking do that. The dog doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
And I say that not to say that if it was his wife, it would have been worse, or we wouldn't have cared. It's just harder to set up a person like to care about in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
Most movies don't do it, and some movies have done it. But most, I mean, it's just, to say the things. It would have been the same if it was the other way around. Like we don't care about this guy. Let's get him fucking killed so we can get the movie on.
Yeah, dude, the emotional connection you really get with the dog, just from that 2 to 3 seconds he has, you're just like, oh man, it's like I don't get that.
Yeah,
don't let it die. And,
yeah, because it doesn't know any better,
Yeah. It's just such a great movie, and the choreographed, and just some of the funny moments with the whole assassins kind of group that they have,
which was cool.
People like the fact that there's like this kind of almost this back history, this kind of lore with the assassins that they kind of sort of explain through like stuff like the currency that they have and stuff,
which is cool.
Yeah, it was just a really cool movie, and it had a really great cast. I mean, we can point out that John Leguizamo made a cameo in it.
Needs to be more stuff.
What's his name from Spider-Man is in it.
Spider-Man? Which guy from Spider-Man?
Green Goblin.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem
Dafoe had Lance Reddick from The Wire as the guy that I think he was the teller guy up front that talks to him. I can't remember his name. It's like something Nyquist. He was the bad guy in Ghost Protocol. He was the main mob boss dude.
Oh, okay.
I forgot he was in Ghost Protocol.
I know the one, like the friend of the Russian, or the bodyguard, was from Dollhouse, and that was a cool show. I just remember him from that.
Oh yeah, okay.
And of course Kevin Nash from WCW.
I missed that the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I just noticed it right away. He's in quite a few movies if you actually pay attention. They're just like, we need a big guy, so let's put Kevin Nash on there.
Yeah,
pretty cool. What about The Order? 1886, probably one of the first PlayStation 4 exclusives that people are really gonna, get to
kind of see what the system's made of.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it, but that story trailer really got me excited about it. It looks cool. Some people are I've been shitting on it since they announced it because it was a third-person thing and cinematic and frame rate and all that shit. But I think I noticed a lot of people on Reddit kind of changed their tune once the story trailer came out. 'Cause it was actually something to go like, oh, this is what it's about. This is what it's going to be like, I guess. But it looks cool. I mean, the graphics look really great. Gameplay looks fun. It looks, I don't want to say punchy. That's not the right word. I guess visceral, I guess, would be a good word for it.
I kind of think that Sony, of the consoles, exclusives, I think Sony does the best on story. Other people can focus on gameplay, but I think Sony now feels like that their plan is to do theatrical kind of aspects of story, where we want to tell you a movie almost. All the Uncharted's do it, and I wouldn't say Killzone does it, but
Infamous.
Infamous. It all feels very movie-esque kind of. So that's pretty cool, and I'm kind of wondering if it's, from what they've seen, they call them like half-breeds and stuff like that. I wonder if it's going to be kind of werewolves, maybe? I mean, if it's all going to be werewolves, or are we going to see different kinds of monsters?
I'm sure it's going to be different kinds of stuff.
Yeah. One thing I really like, I'm a big Arthenian kind of buff in those ways, and I like that the idea that all these characters are named from like Knights of the Round Table. I think one's called Galahad.
Alistair.
Yeah, Arthur. It's pretty cool. I like those aspects. So we'll have to see. I think I'm going to pick that one up.
I am. I'm definitely going to.
I don't know about Majora's Mask yet, because that might be a while, but Evolve is definitely... I mean, I already have it pre-ordered, so we'll get to take a look at it. So, what did you think of the Daredevil trailer so far? Having that release?
I liked it. I mean, I knew I was going to watch it, but I wasn't like 100%. But the trailer looked pretty good.
The one person I don't know who Daredevil is, and I think that he could definitely be one of those people that can be impressionable, where I'll definitely think he's awesome. I do like who they chose to be his kind of co-cast member as Jessica from True Blood. Yeah. I think she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The one problem is I hate when they pick really good characters to really good actors to be characters that I know the fate of. Same thing with Gwen Stacy.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be possibly a little bummer, unless they somehow either alter it, which I don't think they will. I guess maybe sometimes it's better to have a character that has a good, story conclusion than a character that just kind of continues and just, it'll be cool. The one thing that's gonna bother me though is, if you notice the entire trailer, he's always in that makeshift costume, and I just want to see him in what they're gonna have him be as his official Daredevil costume. I want to see the horns and the suit, the red and everything.
They said that from what I was reading, they said they're eventually gonna get to that, that his costume's gonna evolve to to the red and his normal how he looks now, basically, which will be cool.
That'll be pretty cool. It's the great thing about that Netflix series. We won't have to necessarily wait till episode. It's Netflix, so it'll be just all there the same day. And if you want to, you can just skip all the way to the very end, watch the last 30 seconds of the episode, and get to see it.
Yeah, and assuming that all the episodes are going to be as long as I think they are, he's going to have as much screen time as pretty much every other Marvel hero. Because, I mean, if you think about, take Captain America. He's had Avengers and both Captain America movies all together. It's 8 hours.
Yeah.
And Daredevil's getting 10 episodes.
I know.
So he's going to have more time on screen than fucking Captain America.
Which is, I think, one reason why some of the superhero movies or superhero TV shows I kind of like as much or even more than some of the superhero movies. Arrow you get to spend a lot of time with and you get familiar with. I think that's why people like him. I love the Flash TV series right now. I mean, it's just you get to see him by episodes and you feel like he's growing with you, and that's a really cool thing.
It's always good to have more time to do it. So
yeah. Well, I guess we're probably at our hour mark, so I guess we'll wrap up. once again, if you like our podcast, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. Super Mega Force Entertainment is the YouTube channel. Bill, do you have any Twitter handle or Facebook or anything that you want to plug?
I do have one Twitter handle that I guess I'll start to get more active on, but I believe last time I checked it was I think it was Vault 13 Dweller. Really lucky I got that one.
And I am the Samurai One on Twitter. And then you can also like our Facebook page at Super Mega Force on Facebook. Also check out our page, supermegaforce.blogspot.com. Thank you again, guys, and hope you enjoyed.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you later.